Well, Jimmie, outwardly, at least you're scheduled to run the 500, the 600. Let's say Reebok or Gazoo or Family Dollar say, here's a whole barrel full of cash. We want you to run this race. Is there still a possibility you could run more races this year?
I would consider a few more. The time it takes to be prepared and to do it right is something that I kind of overlooked last year running the 9 races that I did. And I've been living out of the country. It's just been an opportunity for me and my family to live abroad. And as a minority owner of the team, it was easier to do. Not that it was ever easy. And now with my new position, it's becoming much harder. So staying focused on the growth of the team, on our partners, our prospects, our OEM, management, drivers, it's really tough to give the driving piece the time it needs right now.
The answer is yes.
Figure it out. Figure it out.
So you've had so many opportunities to run this Daytona 500, but obviously it's different every time you try to do it. What feels different, or what I guess, how do you view, through what lens do you view this particular chapter?
Trying to qualify in that uncertainty is new. I guess I had it my first time here in 2002. Man, there's, especially this year, cars trying to get in on speed, all have an affiliation with a big team. And I would imagine everybody's trying really hard to put their best stuff on those cars. RCR with the 62 and Hendrick with the 40, yeah. Our car, Gibbs has an interest. And that's one thing on speed, but then when you look at the duels and how we're split up, if you're in a duel without your teammates, then you have to look to the OEM. And if I'm in a duel without my teammates and all the Gibbs cars and Martin's in that race, I know they're going to push Martin. So, it's a wild scenario, and hopefully we cure all that by being in the top 2 tonight. But every year has its own challenge, and for us, where I am now, it's just getting in the race. In years past, it was about the race and how are we going to win. Of course, we're here to do all of that, but we haven't even thought about it yet. Everything's been about getting in the race.
From your perspective, is there a responsibility for the other OEM partners to help you out if you guys are in the duel together? Is there an expectation that exists within that?
There are discussions around the race, the 500 itself, but I haven't heard anything, so I would imagine, at least on our side of the Toyota, the expectations, of course, work with other Toyotas, but they recognize the situation. And maybe after tonight, we'll have more of a strategy that comes into play once we know the duels that everyone's in. But, man, I hope I'm not in the same duel with the 56.
So Jimmie, when you came in, and rose to stardom, there was a lot of real high-profile drivers, and there's some still. What's it going to take? You mentioned the parity of the car. I mean, does that make it hard for someone to kind of emerge and stand out and kind of capture the imagination of the viewing public? Like, oh, here's a guy who's dominating. Is that part of it, or what do you think it's going to kind of take?
Yeah, I think that the rivalries that existed, and you usually had 2 or 3 really big names and successful names that would create those rivalries, and maybe Dale Earnhardt on the backside of his career and Jeff Gordon on the front side of his career. Those elements were just those unicorn moments that helped the sport grow, on top of the timing that took place in the late 90s, early 2000s. So I hope that we can recreate that, but I do think parity, there are unintended consequences that happen. The parity has allowed me to come in as an owner, and the affordability has allowed me to come in as an owner, but maybe it's kept one of the bigger teams from pulling away and making a household name out of someone. And it's hard to blame it just on one thing, but I think that's part of the conversation.
What did Jeff Gordon kind of do for the sport? I mean, he took it a different place, didn't he?
He really did. Through my lens as a West Coast guy, he gave me hope that NASCAR was looking west. And the fact that he grew up racing on the dirt really, helped me out in my cause. And the door that Jeff opened, helped Tony Stewart, myself, and Casey Kane, ultimately Kyle Larson. So, that lens, I was very thankful he blazed the trail for us. But you had this juxtaposition where Dale Earnhardt Sr., the Southerner, and then the California kid coming along. It really hit, not only the middle of the country, but it kind of hit at least one of the coasts, and it just brought in so much more interest. And they were so different that was interesting to watch. And then Dale roughing people up as he always does made it fun as well. So I think it was just one of those perfect storms that worked out amazing.
One last one, Denny. What makes him so good here? Has it just been rabbit's foot luck in some of these races, or is there something about just his style and kind of calm that allows him to succeed here?
Luck plays a role, but when you are as consistently competitive in plate races, it's not luck. Denny's a gambling man, and I think his headspace and wiring and how to look at the odds in the race, it just fits into his DNA. And he does a great job, obviously, in the draft and playing the odds or enjoying the risk, risk it all moments when they matter and understanding when to do that. I don't exactly know what it is, but there are plenty of parallels to sitting at a blackjack table or a poker table that I think come into play there.
Jimmie,
Is
good
it
seeing you.
unfair that Helio Castroneves is automatically in this race with his provisional, yet you, a 7-time champion, still have to race your way into this race?
I don't necessarily have a problem with that, and it took some clarification in talking with NASCAR to get that. The part I have a problem with is why that provisional will take up one of the 40 spots. It should be a 41st starting position. He's waived his points, waived the cash that can come with winning the race. Start with the back of the field, or maybe let him have a spot in the field, but don't let that take away from the other cars that are trying to qualify their way in. That would be the twist that I would like to see change in the future.
And kind of building off of that a little bit, you just spent some time over on the IndyCar side of things with guys like Helio coming into the sport more often. Is there somebody over there that you thought during your time over there that you thought he could come over here and be successful in NASCAR?
It's hard to say. I mean, those guys are all fearless after spending time with them and doing the 500. The way those cars perform is by picking up a toe, and you set up all of your offensive moves by the car in front of you. In Cup, that's the smallest part of it. It's really not a part of the equation. It's how you ride the brakes, how you use the cars behind you to generate the energy. And so it's really tough to kind of think of who would figure that out and be able to sense and see that. But man, you go back through the last 4 or 5 winners, and they're all young guys and brave. I'd take any of them and throw them in and give them a shot. But it would take some time to understand that piece. And I think Helio's perfect because he's run here in IROC, and he's been in IROC, so he understands the shape of the cars and how that works.
My Place Hotels is proud to be the official hotel partner of Frontstretch. With plush beds, in-room kitchens, and pet-friendly hotels, My Place makes for the perfect pit stop when traveling. Frontstretch fans can use promo code Frontstretch to save 10% on your stay at any of our nationwide properties. Sign up for our Stay Rewarded program to get even more savings. With My Place Hotels, don't just stay rewarded.
Kevin Nix with Frontstretch.com. Come back soon for more great racing videos, and if you like us, don't forget to hit that subscribe button.